Hey there, welcome back to Fresh Start Budgeting. It's Sunday morning and I've been up since about 4 o'clock in the morning just with these nagging thoughts. And rather than try to stay in bed and figure out how to forget about them, I've just decided to dive right in and include you with me in that journey. So let's get started. What I wanted to do, and just so you know, I am on my second cup of coffee this morning, attempting not to slurp it. I'm going to share a little bit more about my day-to-day life. In my day-to-day life, I work within HR and specific focus in on executive coaching and organizational redesign and development. Now, some of you may be laughing, and to be honest with you, I'm right there with you, because the pure irony in the fact that I help whole organizations with specific things, but my personal financial life is in such disarray, I just find incredibly ironic. I really do love it. And so I had these moments over the past couple days where I was thinking, you know, I know how to do this with my work. I know how to plan and how to, create execution plans and all that kind of things. I'm there making really hard decisions with organizations and with executives. And why can't I just do that with my finances? Why can't I do that with my personal goals? So I decided I'm going to bring you along on a journey with me. Now, of course, I would love for you to join me, but I totally understand if this is not your jam and you're not interested in watching this particular series. I totally understand that, because it's not something that's particularly fun, but it may be something that you find helpful, whether that's in your work life or in your personal life. And it's nothing that's too... it's not a big top secret thing. It's really just the execution of a planning piece that I've learned over the years, that came up back up recently when I was working with an organization on a side gig thing. And I just went it's simple, but it's effective. Why am I not using this for myself? That's what kept me up at 4 o'clock this morning and pushed me out of bed. And I've actually done this video already, but I'm going back and I'm doing it again, because the first time walking through it, just going through all the steps, was just too much. Okay, this book looks pretty gimmicky, right, when you just look at kind of the captions within the title, but it's just a very practical approach to creating visions and plans and how to execute them. Everybody has gone through, whether it's a New Year's resolution or a performance planning at work or anything like that, they get the basic concepts of this, but this really redefines some things and is pretty practical and helpful, in my personal opinion. There is a version of this as an audiobook that is free on YouTube. If you are somebody who commutes to work or during your day while you're cleaning or anything like that, just to put this on, it's something that you don't have to pay 100% attention to be able to get. The concepts are not difficult to understand and learn. So I would suggest, if this is something that interests you, or if you would like some help in creating plans and how to execute them, this is a great starting point. The second piece really is a tandem book to that, and that's called Uncommon Accountability. It's really about understanding the principles of ownership, what you have control over, what your choices are in any given day to be able to get to what it is that you want. Accountability, people often think that's like a punishment. I'm going to hold somebody accountable. I'm going to keep my kid accountable for this particular thing. Accountability is really about ownership. And so it's something that I think the budget community probably understands better than other people, in the sense that they understand that the decisions that come around their finances are their own to make. It's not, You know, unless you're in a situation where you've got debt collectors at your door and are holding you accountable, it's about personal accountability and personal ownership. So these are kind of the two books that in my mind really popped up in terms of what I should be doing and how I'm pursuing my debt-free journey and where I want to go in life, right? It's not going to end when I've paid off my last debtor, right? What is it that I actually want to do with my life? So that's just an introduction to where it is that I'm coming from with this particular So the premise of the 12-week year is really about the fact that people tend to create these long-term plans or long-term projections of where it is they want to go. They hit New Year's, they create a New Year's resolution, and you know what? They may do it for a little bit, and then there's a whole series of time where it's just no longer a focus. Other things come into view in terms of what priorities are, and they think, well, you know, I've still got 8 months, or I still got 5 months, or I still got whatever. And what tends to happen is in the last quarter of the year, people really hone in on those goals, whether they're professional goals with a performance review or whether they're personal goals like a New Year's resolution. So the premise of the 12-week year is that every 12 weeks, you consider that a year in and of itself. So every day is really important, rather than it just being the quarters and thinking about what those quarterly plans are and things like that. It's really about what you choose to do with your day, with your week, to get you through those 12 weeks. It also allows you to think more practically in terms of what it is that's coming up within these 12 weeks. What am I able to handle? What am I able to pursue? And every week, you're basically looking back at what your progress is towards that. So it's nothing revolutionary. I totally understand that, but it's in the application of it, in the fact that you are creating conditions for yourself that get you closer to where it is that you want. Whew, I'm gonna have a drink of coffee. So that's my starting point, just in terms of what my understanding is of what it is that I want to do over the next 12 weeks. So I sat and I figured out that 12 weeks from me right now, today it's October 16th, 12 weeks is going to take me to January 7th. So that's my year. That's what I'm looking to be able to define and create. Now, before I jump into that year and just say, well, you know, I know what I need to do, let's get started. It's always important to create some sort of vision for yourself of what it is that you want to do in the long range. This is something that, and probably why I haven't done it in my own life, something that I've been afraid to do. If you watch my debt confession, you know that for, you know, my early adult life, I was probably really afraid to think long term. I was afraid to think aspirationally about what I wanted. I was just getting through day to day. Well, those 20 years flew by. I'm now 40 years old and I want to reset. That's why I'm doing this fresh start budgeting. It's really a reset for myself. It's allowing myself to think and dream about where it is that I want to go beyond just this week, this month, this paycheck. Okay. So to start this process, you need to create a personal vision. So this is really about what you want out of life. In 10 years, what would you like to be doing? Are you a person who wants to be, you know, living on your own land on an acreage? Are you somebody who wants to have your own business and have people working for you? You know, it's really where you want to see yourself, and it's very personal. Some people, yes, they think about having a bunch of employees working for them and they think that that just sounds magical. Some people think about living on an acreage and they think, boy, that sounds like hell, being stuck out in the country somewhere, right? So it is very personal. So when I sit back and I think about that aspirational vision of where it is that I want to go, a big piece of me is freedom of time. It's something that I've always struggled with. I put in a lot of time to be able to get to where it is that I need to be. That's living paycheck to paycheck. That's saying that, you know what, I would like to go do this, but I need to do this because I need to pay for this particular bill or to be able to complete this particular thing for my kids. There's, the choice of what I do with my time is very limited. And what I really enjoyed over this past week in creating those different packages that I sent out was I chose to do that with my time. It was something that I wanted to do and something I really enjoyed doing. Now, if I was in the situation that I was in 10 years ago, I probably would have felt incredibly guilty doing that, because I would have felt I need to be doing something else to be making more money to make sure the roof stays over my head. So it's that notice of, you know what, I really enjoy that. I enjoy that choice of what I'm going to do with my time. I enjoy being able to say if I'm not well or I'm sick, I need to take some time off. That's a different experience than what I have right now. So in 10 years, that's where I would really like to be. In 10 years, I want my physical health. This has been something that's been deteriorating over the past 10 years and probably been impacted by the previous 10 years. I have not taken good care of myself. And in order for me to enjoy the future, I need that health. So that's something that I want in that time period. And the final thing is financial freedom. These really, they go together in terms of where I see myself. But financial freedom to me means, it doesn't mean that I live in a mansion and I've got, house servants and a Lamborghini in the driveway. That might be somebody's aspiration. It's not mine. Financial freedom to me means that I don't owe money to anybody, and that I am not living paycheck to paycheck. I want to be comfortable. I want to have a good relationship with my money. I want to have investments in different things, but I don't want to be stressing about money all the time. I don't want it to wake me up in the middle of the night. That to me is financial freedom, and that's really what I would like to be able to do. It's, it's not winning the lottery. It's just being comfortable. Okay. So the next piece to that is, once you have that kind of big, where do I want my life to be, is fine-tuning it down into what is my 3-year vision then. What is going to get me closer to this in 3 years than where I am today? The challenge with this piece is 10 years ago, I could have easily created this aspirational vision. However, I didn't take any steps that would actually get me to there. So there can be all kinds of responses to that in terms of, well, there's circumstances. Well, there's, whatever. Okay, but the truth of the matter is, I never committed to any of this. I never sat down and said, this is what I actually want, and I want to get there. Okay, so the 3-year vision is what is going to be that first indicator that I'm actually working towards these 3 different things. Okay, so that first piece of freedom of time and financial freedom is within the 3-year mark. I want to have started an independent consulting of at least 0.25 FTE. So I've already started this. I've done this for years in terms of side gig, of working with smaller organizations, helping them with some very specific things. But it's not something that's consistent. It's something that perhaps comes across my desk in a particular relationship. I grab onto it and I have an opportunity to work with somebody, but it's not something I pursue, and it's definitely not something as consistent as this. So this is going to require some intentional work to be able to get there. So that's why I've created that as part of my 3-year vision, and it's at a 0.25 FTE. So it's a quarter of what I earn, or a quarter of my time. I want to be devoted to that within the 3 years. Okay. Second one is debt-free by choice. So to me, that means that by choice piece is I've actively worked towards all the debts. I am debt-free. It's not because I've had a debt collector come and knock on my door and repossess everything within my house. It's debt-free by choice. I've actively worked towards it. This is going to include our family home. This includes all the collections that I have, Anything else that might arise. I'm almost afraid some days that something new is going to come up on my credit report or something like that, because I just haven't tracked it very well. But at that 3-year mark, I am going to be debt-free by choice. Okay, this next one is I'm going to have a 6-month emergency fund. So for me, 6 months is the equivalent of that $5,000 a month. That's around what I earn right now. So I'm not doing just the bills and whatever. I want my full income for 6 months available. So that's $30,000. That means I need to be working up towards $10,000 a year that I'm putting away into this savings specifically. That makes me a little nervous to put that out into the universe, but I'm putting that out there. That's where I'm going to be within 3 years. Okay, then this last one, I felt a little... You need to make these goals a stretch enough that they actually require you to move at a reasonably quick pace to get there. But this one makes me nervous. I want, within that 3 years, my physical conditions are managed actively. Within the past couple of months, there's been a few medical things that have come up that have shown that my physical health is deteriorating more rapidly than I had thought it was. I've got a few different conditions that I'm battling, things with my kidneys, just some different things. So, you know, I need to be optimistic along these lines. I need to be reasonable, but I also need to push myself towards this, and that my physical conditions are going to be managed. And that's going to become more clear over time, just in terms of my diagnostics and anything else that's going on, what that actually means to me on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so the next step in that is creating out what the 12-week goals are going to be. So a reminder here that 12 weeks is considered my year. This is a way of pushing yourself towards actively working towards these visions in your day-to-day life. Every day is important in a 12-week. Every week is important in a 12-week. Yes, you can still go on vacation and you can still do those things, but every week is lined out with kind of what that week is going to look like pursuing these goals. Every week you're doing an evaluation of where it is that you are. So my year is October 16th to January 7th. So I'm starting that today. I'm going to January 7th. And every goal that I've created within these 12 weeks aligns with where I want to be within 3 years and what my aspirational vision is. Okay. So I've actually done these in the wrong order, so I'm just going to show everything. This last goal, I think, is the first one for me. So it's integrating this 12-week year into my personal life. This isn't something that I've done, so it's something that I actively need to pursue over these first 12 weeks to be able to pursue this in the long term. So that's my first and primary goal, is integrate the 12-week year into my personal life. Okay, the second one is about my income allocation. Thinking about this debt-free by choice and this emergency fund. I've had this goal in my mind for a number of weeks, but I'm putting this now that I've got a goal date of January 7th, that 30% is going to be going to debts and savings. So for this whole period, that 30% is $6,450. So that gives me like a very tangible thing. And I can't wait until the last week to be able to do that. I need to be actively pursuing that. And then the third thing that I put down is completing a specific project at work. That's something that's going to prepare me for this consulting piece. And so I'm going to have a 12-week plan at work. So I wanted to include it here, but I'm not going to do a really in-depth dive into this particular goal. I've just included it because it's important that I have that commitment for this particular goal. Okay, so this is the first kind of steps in terms of creating this. And this is the steps to actually doing this is all outlined within the book and has some very practical application. Okay, so the next part of this is that it's great to have a goal, but if you don't have some indicators of you actually getting to that goal, it's very easy just to get to that week number 11 or week number 10 and to have not really made any progress towards what your goal is. Okay. So from the point of creating sort of the visionary and the planning stage, the next piece is putting down what are the tactics or what are the actions that are going to indicate that you are pursuing this goal. So my first tactic is that I'm going to be rereading the 12-week year, and I'm also going to reread Uncommon Accountability. I'm going to create and commit to a weekly schedule. So a weekly schedule of how I integrate the 12-week year into my personal life. Because again, if you just wait till the end of the week to do an evaluation of how you've done and you haven't intentionally set aside time, it's very easy for just the days to pass, the weeks to pass, and not to be able to pursue what it is that you're trying to do. So create and implement lead and lag indicators. So lead and lag indicators are things that you can look at and they can tell you whether you're on track to be able to reach your goal. A lag indicator is that final checkpoint that I've integrated the 12-week year into my personal life. So it's what happens after all the activities that you're done. The lead indicators are these things that you need to do to be able to attain the goal. I will get more into it. I apologize if this is just too theoretical, but it's something that is part of how I see myself implementing it. So I'm including this in here in this video. And then my final tactic is going to be to share progress each week on YouTube. So this is going to become a series for me. I am going to do a weekly check-in just about how it is that I'm doing this and how it's going, what the successes have been, what the pitfalls have been, all of that. I will share that once a week on YouTube. All right, the next goal that I have is that income allocation of 30% to debts and savings. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to complete my 100 envelope speed challenge. I'm pretty on track to finish that over the next couple of weeks because of a side income that I had. So that is good. I'm going to, this is a big one for me because I'm notorious for doing my budget or even sharing my budget with me videos after I've been paid, after I've already spent some money. You know, I'm not doing it proactively. So I'm going to create and implement my budget and spending tracker before the trigger dates and share these videos in each area. So I will need to create a schedule for how that happens, which I believe is my next tactic here, but that's a commitment that I want to have, that it's not something that I'm reactively doing just because I feel guilty that I haven't done it yet. And then the next one is to be able to do that 30%. I need to meal prep and I need no spends on delivery and takeout. So that's another checkpoint for me. Okay, I did create a couple for that work-related goal. Again, I'm not going to do in-depth stuff around it. I will just check in with you about some of the things that I'm working towards, but I want to keep this particular one focused on my finance journey and how it applies to budgeting life. All right, if you're still with me, bless you. Okay, so for this last one, this last part of it, you actually then break down each one of those goals into what you're going to do in the particular week. So from October 16th to 22nd, these are going to be my leading indicators. They're going to be the things that I do every day or every week that shows that I'm on track to get where it is that I'm trying to go. So this first thing is to read 20 pages per day. That's going to make sure that I complete the finishing of these 2 books. So I'm going to read 20 pages per day. I'm going to create a schedule for actively working towards each week's goal. So that's just going to say where it is within my week. I'm going to be sitting down and focused in on reviewing these, working towards them, all of that. And then I'm going to create and post progress and accountability check-in on YouTube. So I'm committing to doing that, whether it's on Saturdays or Sundays going forward, so that I can make sure that I'm sharing this journey with you and I'm keeping myself accountable to what it is that I've committed to doing. Then here, the income allocation of 30% to debts and savings. This week we will have the disability income, so I'm going to stuff that for the 100 envelope challenge. I'm going to meal prep for the week, bring lunch to work each day, and have a no spend work week. So I have to create these habits and actively do them to be able to get to that goal. And then I'm going to create that schedule for YouTube videos and be proactive in my budget with me and my expense tracking, because that reactive is just, it's put me into a habit that's not good. I want to be proactive in that work so that 30% to debts and savings is going to be attainable. And then I also had just a couple things for that work related goal. Okay, I promise this is the final piece. So I have those specific things that I've stated I'm going to be doing this week. This is how I track this. So because I said I'm going to read every day, there's a box for every day. My schedule planning, I've kind of said that it'll happen on these 2 days. I'm not 100% sure. That accountability video. Then I've got my 100 envelope challenge will happen on Friday. I've got the new meal prep and no spend, and then that scheduling as well for that particular piece. So this is what I'm committing to for this week. I hope that this hasn't been too confusing, or I don't know. I hope it is something that makes sense, and maybe something that you would like to look into, or maybe just watch me for a little while, see what happens on this journey, and then decide what you would like to do with the information or not. I just really appreciate people sticking with me, and I tend to just, you know, I'm throwing out different ideas, trying to see what sticks. But this one, I'm committing to this piece for the next 12 weeks. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see what this 12-week year is going to look like, and it's really going to set me up for then in January, doing that again and kind of avoiding that New Year's Eve resolution thing and trying to think up some random goals. This kind of is a really clear path forward for me, so I find that really helps. Anyways, if you would like to join me in this journey, please do share any of your thoughts, or you know what you're using to be able to work towards your goals. I'd happy to be able to watch what it is that you're doing and support you in your journey. Feel free to comment below, subscribe. I really appreciate everybody who has encouraged me so far. I don't think I would still be here today, honestly, if it hadn't been for that. There were moments in September where I thought about quitting, but I'm so happy that I didn't, and I look forward to being able to pursue this further and seeing you next time. Bye, guys.